Is there a single thing that stands out from training memory-wise, like that comes to mind first when you just look back at going through buds?
I loved it. I loved, especially my first phase instructors. They were like gods, you know, and my pre-training instructor, Henry Delacruz, those guys were like gods. And but when you say that, the Hell Week experience was incredible and awesome. And you know, strangely, one of our senior chiefs came in. I don't want to say he was a guest first phase instructor, but he wasn't out there all the time. But he came out and he talked to us like right before Hell Week, and he was like, "Here's the deal." He's like, "Just don't quit. Make it all the way through." He goes, "You know by now what a Navy SEAL is and what a Navy SEAL is going to do and you're going to do in your career." He's like, "Just don't quit. Do it for yourself. Do it as a man." And he goes, "And if you want to quit," he goes, "then Monday morning after it's all said and done, you just stand up and walk out there and ring that bell." And he goes, "You'll still get a Hell Week t-shirt and everybody will respect you." And unbelievably, Mike, we had 2 guys that did that. We had tons of people that quit in SEAL training. I mean, in Hell Week. You know, boatloads.
2 guys after Hell Week?
After Hell Week.
Wow.
Went and rang the bell after it was over. And we never, they got great orders and all of that stuff. They just didn't want to be a SEAL.
That's amazing.
I know.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It was insane. I mean, when I think back on it, it was like,
I mean, we had an officer quit in 3rd phase. But that's the only guy I remember ever during my entire career, both as a student and then as an instructor, the last few years I was in, where somebody quit afterwards.
Our class leader quit, I want to say, almost finishing 2nd phase.
Yeah.
Because his wife wanted him to.
Oh, wow.
And I hated that. And he went on and had a fabulous career in the Navy. Commanded a destroyer and a cruiser, had a great career.
Wow.
But always always thought back on that and felt bad, like he couldn't talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember how many guys started and how many originals finished?
I want to say in 124, which I was not an original finisher of, I think we started with like 80 something and we graduated maybe 15.
Yeah.
And then the class that I graduated with, 125, I don't believe it had anybody quit in Hell Week, which of course I did not go to Hell Week with them. But I give them a hard time about that still to this day. I think we graduated like 50, which was huge. I don't know how many they started with though, but it was a large graduating class.
Yeah. That's surprising. Only 80 started.
Yeah, I think that's correct to the best of my recollection.
Did you get rolled for dive physics or what was it?
No, I got a stress fracture in my foot in 2nd phase on our last week of Draeger. So I'd already been through everything that I felt like was hard and successfully negotiated dive physics and all the other tough stuff. And then I got a stress fracture one morning on a run. And so that rolled me all the way back to the beginning. So I had to do pull comp, treading water, and all of that stuff.
All the fun stuff.
All over again, which was fantastic. It was great. Recommend it for everyone.
So you graduate 125, go to Benning right after that. What was your first duty station?
So after I finished, I went straight to SDV school.
Oh, really?
In Coronado. Because I volunteered for SDV school because that naive thing again.
Yeah.
The instructor's like, "Hey, some of you guys are going to go to SDVs, and if any of you guys did really well in dive phase, you might as well just pick which coast of SDVs you want to go to because that's where you're going to go." I bought into it. I said I wanted to go to the East Coast SDVs. Everybody in our class got basically their first choice. I think one guy had to go to SEAL Team 5 when he wanted to go to SEAL Team 3, but that was the limit of it.
Yeah.
And so I went straight there, and I ended up going to Lakehurst, New Jersey for jump school in the Navy jump school, which was kind of a unique thing.
I didn't even know that. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, obviously, but man, that's wild. I've never even heard of that. I also didn't realize that SDV school at that time was in Coronado. Was SDV team not in Pearl Harbor at that time on the West Coast?
They were not. SDV Team 1 was located in Coronado.
Wow. But the schoolhouse for SDV was all on the West Coast, and they sent you to one or the other. So your first duty station was SDV 2 at Little Creek. How long were you there for, and what was that like?
I think I was there for about 2.5 years, and it was great. Had great mentors there. Had a great group of guys, 2 of which were my roommates and buds. You just jump in the pipeline there. Lots of cold. It was really cold. Our advanced operator training was in the winter.
Yeah.
Got really used to the cold. Well, no, I take that back. Never really got used to the cold, but it was very cold. It's very difficult and challenging to be good at driving SDVs and navigating SDVs, and I got a good feel of that.
Do you know, I mean, from what year did you retire?
I retired 2 years ago in 2022.
Wow. Technology-wise, the SDV itself, has that changed much since then?
I'm not too familiar with them in the last, listen at me, in the last 20 years. So I really don't know. But up until that point, up until the point that I was there, they've pretty much been the same. You know, there had been some advances probably in the batteries but the boats that I was in, and then probably for a decade later, I think they were they're pretty much the same, you know, rudimentary navigation and stuff. Not as primitive as you and I with an attack board, you know, swimming through the water, but you know, it was.
It's such an interesting capability. I mean, it makes me think that the reality of frogmen doing actual original frogmen missions, especially now, but even 20 years ago, are like, I don't know when you would have individual swim pairs do it versus an SDV team go knock it out and have 100x the capability, you know. And it's one of those things too where it seems like it's almost the bastard child of the SEAL teams in a way, in that most guys don't want to go there. They're disappointed if they get sent there. But it is such a unique capability, and one that there's just nothing else like it in the U.S. military.
And it's really come into its own. I don't believe that you can go directly to SDVs anymore.
Really?
I think you have to, you know, you have to have proven yourself, you know, as a competent operator.
That's interesting.
I don't know if that's right or not. I think it is.
Yeah. So you're only there for a couple of years. Where did you go after that?
So when I got through with that, the entire time that I'm at SDVs, myself and my little cohort, we all want to go to development group. That's where you want to go. That's where you want to go. That's where you want to go. And so we were hell-bent for election to go there. And I was very fortunate. I think that there was basically two ways you got picked up back then. Somebody knew who you were and gave you the old thumbs up. You probably heard those stories. Or nobody had any idea who you were. So you by default got a chance. And I definitely fell into that category, I believe. So I was like 21, 22 years old.
Wow.
I'd done one Mediterranean cruise with the SDVs.
Yeah. In that SDV deployment, is that when you worked with the British SBS and did the stuff in Norway, or was that after?
That was just after that deployment, kind of as I was waiting to go. And that was a really...
It was a world record dive, or
yeah, we did a cold dive, and I'm not going to say how long it was because that would divulge it. But I will tell you this, that I was in there long enough that as the pilot of the submersible, the navigator noticed that I was having cognitive problems mentally and unable to make simple calculations, which a lot of my friends would say I have that anyway. But
outside of the water.
And so he was like, "Hey, mate, I think you need to service the boat now, mate," like that. But you know, in true stiff British upper lip fashion, you know what they did? They just simply moved me over into the navigator thing and put him over there and allowed me to suffer.
Man, that's wild. What was your impression of the SBS guys? And did you work with any Norwegian special operations, or was it just the Brits?
They were there, okay. But they were not doing anything like what we were doing.
What was your impression of the SBS guys from a sizing them up standpoint? Because this is, you know, early 80s.
That in that moment in time, the SBS that I was dealing with were the submersible SBS, and they're SBS operators. Most of them were veterans of the Falkland Islands War. Yeah. You know, so they had already proven themselves, you know, within their own right as a guy on the ground. They're awesome. Yeah. They're really incredible, and you know, they let you know how awesome they are all the time, and you know, we deal it back in spades. Yeah. So there was a healthy competition there.
Yeah.
But they're very good, professional, very professional soldiers.
I just had an SBS guy on Ant Middleton just a few weeks ago, and man, it was such a neat conversation to just hear, you know, his entire path and journey there, and the, you know, the similarities and the differences. But all right, so when you screened to go to Dev Group at that time, what was that process like from selection, the initial shot that you get at it, and the green team equivalent, or like what was that original or initial path?
I can't really remember too much about the actual interview process. I remember doing it. It went well. I don't think it's anywhere. I think it's a lot more subjective now. They've added elements of objectivity in there, with psychological screenings and different things like that. But for me, I remember going and talking to people, sitting like at the table and, getting that. But it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't that big of a deal. And then whatever happened behind the scenes, in terms of them passing your name around, does anybody know this guy or whatever.
So once you get thumbs up, you can try out. Was there a green team like there is now, and
Absolutely.
And what was it like?
It was like Bud's 5.0. It was, for me, it was for a lot of folks. I had never free-falled before. So when I went to there, it was like, here's the deal. We're going to teach you to free fall, and the instructors were great. But your 9th jump is going to be a diving, full combat equipment exit from the back of a C-141 aircraft. Wow. And you better be good at it, because if you're not, you're going to be headed back to SDV Team 2. It was that straightforward. And being an SDV guy, I had never been trained in close quarter battle at all. Very, very limited and rudimentary land warfare skills, which I think actually that turned out to be more of a blessing, because I didn't have any bad habits to break. I just absorbed what it was. Yeah. And the cadre there was phenomenal, and, you looked up to them like crazy. Yeah. It was all in.
Was there the same level of emphasis put on CQC back then, the way that it is now?
Absolutely. That was all of it. You could get gone very quickly, just like you can right now, if you shot a hostage target. Yeah. You're gone. Yeah. That and accidental discharges.
Game over.
Anything like that meant that you couldn't run around in a room shooting live bullets with other teammates in there safely. You're gone pretty quick. We lost a lot of guys. We lost a lot of really good guys too.
Yeah. Do you remember how many guys started green team and how many finished?
I would say we probably, I'm just guessing here, I would say we probably started 25, and I would say we lost, and you're talking about cream of the crop dudes, I would say we probably lost 7.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I doubt if they do it now. It's very, or ever what the situation is. But we had an E8 in our going through with us. I was like an E5. Most of us were E5s, E6s, but Chiefs and E8s would go through as well. And they had to perform exactly like everybody else. There was no, you had to get it done.
Yeah. So once you make it through that, can you talk about what squadron you went to and what it was like operating there then?
Yeah, I went to Red, and the teams back then, they had their own personalities, and I was excited all the way around, and I had one of my green team instructors came up to me, and he's like, "You're going to Red, and you're going to love it." And he was absolutely right. And
what was the personality differences squadron to squadron, and did they have the same numbers that they do now?
When I went, I don't know how long that Red had been in existence. To begin, at the beginning there was just blue and gold, and then they created Red, I think, prior to Grenada, and because Red went to Grenada, all of them went to Grenada and did different things to answer that. But blue, blue was, they're hardcore tough dudes. They're flannel shirts and, not that we all weren't, but they're flannel and they'll punch you in the face. It was like, they're tough, man. Those guys are big and they're tough. And gold was a little bit more refined. You know what I mean? They'd drink a cappuccino and wear some Gramici climbing pants, and they're looking forward to the next climbing trip. So they were the cooler cats.
The Hollywood guys. Almost.
Yeah, I really didn't know that much about Red. I knew that the couple of instructors that we had were from there, and they were, one in particular was a phenomenal shooter. I mean, he was John Shaw good,
wow.
just phenomenal, so we all looked up to him a lot. And when he told me I was going to Red, I was like, oh yeah.
So what was the personality of Red an amalgamation of blue and gold, or was it totally different?
It was intense professionalism. It was, we thought we were good, we're idiots, but green team, you're like, you can make us our own assault team. We're like the best, like that. You go in there, and I just remember, we do CQB a lot, many times a week, almost 365. Out of the whole year, you just do it a lot. Yeah. And I remember the first time I went in the 7-meter range, you warm up just on 7 meters, and you start with a pistol. And back then we were MP5 9mm machine guns was what we would do, and we'd do a warm up. And so you would start off with the gun in the holster. You would draw it, 2 shots, put it back. Do that a couple of times, and then moved a little bit further back and further back. And then you go back up forward. You pull out your SMG, your machine gun, and do the same thing and back all the way up. And I'm a good shot. I was one of the best shots in the green team, no doubt about it. And on a good day, I could beat everybody. And of course, guys could beat me too. And I was with my new crew, my new boat crew, and we're doing that. And when I get through, the boat crew leader would walk down the aisle and critique everybody. Not much. Say, hey, you need to tighten these up. If you had 1, 2 flying out. And your first couple of shots with a pistol are literally from the hip. So to get those somewhere, it takes a little work. Everybody had punched out the center of their target about this big, right? And I had a lot of bullets there, but, I had a couple of that were like this. That wasn't flying. And then I knew... Then it's like we're in a different league now, and it's just like you got to be tight. Yeah. And it was very much a self-policing type of kind of thing. And of course, if you stepped 1 foot left or right the wrong way, you got tightened the hell up really, really fast.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's still some of that. It seems like there's less of the hazing and we'll say physical remediation. Back then, was that kind of par for the course where if you screwed up or got out of line, made any mistakes, that they're dragging you out back and turning the screws on you? Or?
I really didn't hear of that happening too much because over there, it was just like, no, you're gone, dude. Yeah. It especially if you had like less than 2 years over there. Oh, yeah. It wasn't like anybody was gunning for you, but you had a backpack to carry, and it had a certain amount of weight in it, and you better be doing that, and you better be learning. And it was a lot of self-remediation. Like if you sucked at something, it was very much expected, I believe, that your boat crew leader would see you after work, would watch you after work going out to the house to do remedial work and stuff like that. And it was very common to have guys that did not need any work because they were excellent, spending 3 hours after work shooting, just because over there you had pretty much unlimited bullets. You had unlimited reasons not to get excellent. Yeah. And perfect practice makes perfect. Yeah. And that's what you did. Yeah.